Good morning.
Good
Okay,
morning.
so welcome to another episode of the Here and Now videocast. Today I have a special guest, um, someone from home actually, which is very special for me because whenever I connect with people from home, it's very near and dear to my heart. There's a connection that with people that we grew up with. We've left Zimbabwe many years, many of us, and me especially, I've lost touch with a lot of my community. But when I get in touch with people from home, it's very special for me. So I have Syreeta Dhana here today, and Syreeta coaches on perimenopause, which I know nothing about. Apparently, men are lucky enough to not to suffer from it, but we're going to get into some of why she does it and what it means. And Sarita, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And
Thank you for having me.
how are you?
Fantastic. Thank you.
And so, as we go in, you're living in Canada now, right?
For the last 24 years, yes.
And when did you leave home?
I was 16 in 2001.
16. Wow.
Mhm.
And how was life in Zimbabwe for you before you left?
For the first 16 years of my life was fantastic, I
Yeah.
feel. I think the appreciation for home happens when we leave home. I think a lot of the stuff that I definitely took for granted, I felt that moving here. Small things, the weather, community, right? But we adaptable beings. But yeah, I love being home. But I also have a love for my new life here and my new life wherever that's leading as well.
Okay. And as we're going to look into why you're in service of what you do, what would you say you discovered in childhood that kind of you wish you'd known but didn't know? Being a girl, woman, growing up, the things
That
that
I
women miss
discovered
sorry?
that I discovered now or
Yeah,
discovered in childhood.
when you look back now, we're sitting here together, and you look back and we touch on Zimbabwe, where we grew up, and what did you see growing up that shaped you, didn't shape you? What
I
impacted you most in childhood?
I would say the way our parents showed their love very differently to somehow how we need it, but fostering, ensuring that we have great educations. I think that's a big thing from where we come from. Um, but not spending as much time. So I think the ability to desire more time, quality time, was is definitely something for me. I think I love and appreciate our upbringing on discipline and politeness and manners. I wouldn't change that, and I still enforce that in my children who are brought up in and born in Canada. Um, so yeah, there's a balance. I think there's lots of things that I appreciate from how we're brought up in Zimbabwe, and lots of things that I feel that I learned here that I wish could have been merged at the same time as I was brought up, but they didn't for a reason, and this is where I am today.
And you come from a very famous family name back home. The Donnas are very well known. How has that been for you? Is there any weight on that? Is there any impact on a child growing up to kind of carry their family name, or is there any pressure or expectation for you?
I didn't feel that. I felt the biggest thing of my dad was his ability to connect with people. So, no, for me personally, and I mean, it's very different. My brother will have a different, well, everyone will have a different experience, but I think maybe for men a little bit different. My brother's a little bit different. I know there was expectation to be as good as my dad, or to show up as my dad. Um, but no, for me, I didn't. I actually loved that. And I felt a deep connection with my dad, especially because energetically, We're pretty much similar, connecting with people, engaging. A little bit of a people pleaser on knowing how to make people feel good. So that was a life skill I adapted from him that I'm working on unlearning now.
Unlearning or moderating? Because it's a beautiful thing to still want to serve.
Moderating. I like that choice of word.
Because
Moderating.
I connected with that one. I was a people pleaser too, but I see there's a good service in that as long as you know where the line is and you're not self-sacrificing. When people pleasing becomes self-sacrificing, for me, that's when I started sabotaging me, and so I just felt that one.
Good point. Yes, thank you. And words are powerful. My other love language are very powerful. Yes, moderating is a better term.
That was a nice reflection on your dad because being a dad, and we spoke about this a couple of days ago about the fathers and the masculine presence that somehow that lovely video you sent me with on Stephen Bartlett's podcast. And so with that connection to what you shared about your father was very powerful. So thank you for that. Maybe I'm biased being a father, but thank you. It's really great.
I think both masculine and feminine, as well as moms and dads, both are needed. There's a reason that we came from both.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the mothers have always been somehow defaultly present. I feel we can see in our community, in life, when I see it in Europe, if there's someone who's going to leave the home or break the home, it's usually the dad. And if someone's going to be there to pick up the pieces, it's usually the mom. It is a stereotype generalization of how predominantly it is, right?
100%. But I think there's so much more dads that actually are more maternal and the ones that stay there than we know of. And I think the statistics for sure are shifting more than we would imagine them to be. But yeah, that's the stereotype for sure. And where we come from, yeah, it's not even a choice. There's not even an option. By default, you would think when parents separate that the children are going to be with the mother. But I think it's a good thing in a way that's shifting. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. Could be the father.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if both stayed in the life, but it's not always the case.
And do you have any regrets from childhood? Because those last long. Those stick with us. Yeah. Is there anything that you look back and think, I could have, that was something that shaped me negatively, or I'm still holding on to?
I don't have regrets, but you know what is interesting? Someone said to me yesterday, and I found it very interesting. I got a message from a friend, an ex-boyfriend, or whoever from about 22 years ago. And he said, Syreeta, I'm so proud of you and the woman you have become. I would never have thought that you would have ended up this way. And the ego showed up on my shoulders with the bazooka to be like, excuse me, what do you mean?
What is the meaning in that? Yeah.
Yeah, so I paused and I said, it was a message. I said, thank you. However, out of curiosity, how did you think I would have ended up? And his comment was, as a young mom, because I'm sure you know, I've had my children really young, a teen mom, as a young mom and an immigrant coming to this country, I just didn't think you would achieve your goals the way you did.
Wow.
But yeah, I just found that interesting. That took me back saying, okay, like I didn't take it personal, or maybe I did for a little hot moment. And then I know it's not, I shouldn't take it personal.
What was the feeling behind? Why was that? I mean, I can get that. What did that bring up in your
in me?
Yeah.
And in the parts of me that I still need to heal, or that I have worked on healing. What it did bring up, great question, Lindsay, was I put on high drive, high speed to achieve or to do better. I was in hyperdrive because it's like, oh, well, when you're 16 and you have a child, and then when you're 17 and you have a child, another child, odds are people are seeing it that you messed up, that your life's over, that you're a disappointment. I never ever felt that way about myself, probably consciously, but 95% I probably did have some in that. And I knew people felt that way. So that was the thing. I knew people felt that way or seen it that way or had that opinion. Whether it was I felt that way of my mom, my dad, yeah, no, because he also had a child really young. But very different when a man has a child young versus a woman. But yeah, so I think that's what came up was like, okay, so I wasn't wrong for thinking that's how people think, because that is how people think. But yeah, it didn't hurt me. It just it brought up something. Yeah, I felt it in my gut. I was just, but I was happy with how I chose to respond and ask, and I just said, okay, thanks. Have a great day.
And that's where the growth is, right? Feeling that
Mhm.
judgment and then not having to push it
Respond.
out and respond from the same energy,
Yeah.
right? So that's really amazing that you took that on your shoulders and like, okay, this is mine. I'm not going to let whatever came up for me be his problem. So that's really great. Because
And
like,
maybe you're just being honest, right? That is what he thought. Whether it's wrong or right, that's what he thought.
but there's a lot of judge, and I see it in society,
Yeah.
maybe in our colored community, there's a lot of judgment for what we don't understand based on our own lack of awareness, maturity. I don't know, our trauma maybe, because our colored community was very a lot of stuff. We're not going to go into that, maybe not now, but there are a lot of when you don't understand, you judge, right? It's so easy to
I
judge.
like that one. When you don't understand.
Straight away going to judgment because there's a fear of the unknown, and straight away you internalize that, and because anyway, we can talk.
Well, you assume you would handle it differently if it was you, but until you in that position, yeah. I think understands a keyword. The keyword there, but yeah.
Okay.
It was interesting. But to go back to the original question of regrets, no, I don't. I don't have regrets. I think there's no point in having them.
Yeah, I agree, but if they come and to see what they're teaching us and not to carry them, I think it's great that you're not carrying any.
So then if there is one, and I don't know if I'd say regret, but I would have wished I listened to my body from sooner than I did.
Oh, tell
That
us
would be the
about
only one.
that. What's that about?
So for me, and I still catch myself on this one, and this is part of my journey that will continue to keep me on my toes, is identifying when my intuition, my heart speaking versus paranoia or thoughts that I may just be spiraling, negative thinking, but the energy doesn't lie. And when something feels off and I think, oh, maybe I'm just being dramatic or I'm overthinking on it, and then I go with the opposite of how I was feeling, it always turns out that that was a message. That was the message for me to listen, and I didn't. So definitely listening to my spirit guides sooner would be, I would think that's the only regret I would say I have. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did you, and before we move on from the past, what is the biggest gift you were given as a child growing up, or before 16 when your life changed? Because once we go overseas, it's totally different. Everything changes for us, right? What's the biggest thing that...
Yeah, I would say tenacity and resilience. I'm strong at heart, strong in my mind. I wish I felt still strong in my body, but I'm working on that. Perimenopause showing up. But yeah, I would say tenacity and resilience and love. I have a very big heart, and I think channeling from love has definitely made me try and understand people better. So understanding's a big gift I feel I have, a strength that I love about myself, but also sometimes can, if not moderated, can come to our detriment. But yeah, that's what I'd say. And understanding, because everyone's all so different. And I think sometimes I'm like, I don't understand how people can be so different, so extreme. But I know that's the thing I love the most about humans, is that we all are so different. And that's what makes us fascinating, and have different perspectives or see the world. I can only see the world through these lenses, but I would love to understand how you see them through your lenses, right? So I think understanding.
Very nice, humanist, compassionate qualities you have. So that's really great.
Yeah, I would say I don't have the patience, but we're working on that one.
And the inability to receive compliments, that's something interesting that we'll talk about later.
Oh, okay. Did I just like be like
Like, oh no, don't want to hear that. No.
I do have a problem on that one. So yes,
Yeah,
thank you for
noted.
pointing that out.
Noted. Red flag, red flag.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Anyway, okay, so let's move on a little bit. And so now, being a, I don't know what do you call it, immigrant, expat, I don't know if it's important, but totally different cultures, mindset. Living in Canada, from Zimbabwe, what do you imagine for your future? Like, what do you see? How do you see your future? Do you plan to go back home? Is Canada home now? Is home where the heart is?
Canada is home, but Zimbabwe is still home. So they equally my homes. I always constantly saying, I want to go home when I'm here. And then a few weeks in Zimbabwe, I'm like, back home. So it's where my heart is in that moment. But definitely I see myself leaving Canada at some point in the very near future, because the weather's really getting to me. It's hurting my soul. It is. And I think just change, embracing change. I thank my mom and think my mom was extremely brave, and all our parents that left what they knew, to come to the unknown and start again and know no one and want to do better for your children, and yourself. But yeah, I don't quite know where the wind is going to blow me next, but it's definitely going to be somewhere where the plants stay as green as yours all year round, and the sun and the blue skies are shining. So seasons are beautiful. I have learned to appreciate the seasons because it took a while, and there's beauty in all of them, including the winter, which brings some hibernation and recharging. But yeah, it's a bit too long in Canada. It's like 8 months.
It's a lot of time, huh?
Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, I don't.
I mean, Luxembourg's not half as bad as Canada, but I find that we wish our lives away. You wish the winter away. It's a lot of time to wish away each year, right? 6 to 8.
And then that takes us away from being present.
Imagine, and everybody's like, can't wait for the summer, can't wait for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing the whole winter? Just like wishing your life away?
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so I feel you.
But energetically, don't you see how different people are in summer? I don't know about there, but I'll tell you, in Canada, we different people, all of us. We are happier beings. We are more patient. We are more understanding. It brings the better part out of everybody. I don't know. I think gentlemen, are opening doors more in summertime than maybe in winter. It's too cold. I don't have time to do that. I don't know. I even noticed the difference in me. So, yeah.
I've got a totally different approach, but it's not my time, it's yours. I can go into a
I
whole,
want to hear it though.
oh my God, I don't know how to resonate with that. And it's so common and I cannot connect to that.
To what?
To that thing, that mindset of I'm different depending on the weather. Like, what does that mean for
Ooh.
your soul? Are you And I've got this big thing about victim mindset, which is so powerful and we don't even recognize it. But
Mm.
if my whole life is dependent on external circumstances, I am not in power. And
That is true.
and using the weather as a metaphor for obstacles in life, if you're going to be dependent on external things to be happy, Jesus Christ. Sorry, it's Easter, it's Good Friday. I don't know. It's like so interesting for me. My philosophy is whatever the weather, you got to be your own sunshine. And that's why I end a lot of my goodbyes with be the sunshine, because
Mm.
no matter
But
what,
and I agree. I think that is definitely the right mindset to have because
it's
I
hard.
can't change the weather.
It's
I
hard.
can't change the weather.
It's hard, but then we become weak because we just be like, well, if it's love, if it's circumstances, if it's this, then I just got a hand. Like, no, you are still responsible for this and this at least 110%. And
Mhm.
outside circumstances can have an influence, but they shouldn't dominate and dictate every
But
day.
that's why the person says I need to move because maybe I'm saying I'm not having the same strength that you are to still be feeling in your best in that environment. I think environment plays a big factor, and if it's not working for you, same way in a relationship, if that environment's not working for you in a job, if it's not working for you, leave it. This is not no longer working for me. Not saying I'm not gonna show up or not go outside or not go for walks because it's cold. No, we still got to do that. Like you got to live, especially it's 8 months. That is, why am I struggling with my math? Yeah, that's 60% of of the year. No, you got to go outside. You got to still live. We have to go to work. We have to drive in 30 feet of 30 centimeters of snow, 60 centimeters of snow. It's just no longer for me. But I do like, and I made note of that victim mindset. So I'll look to see if I feel that, shifting approach always and acceptance. If you accept things, you're going to thrive. So I will look at that one. But,
Okay, thank you.
I love different perspectives because
Wow.
that's right. I may take a little tad bit of yours there. I'll take that
Well,
victim.
it's patented, so you take it, you pay. Huh? I don't. Not this is not just free advice. So I'm sorry to tell you, I didn't. I
I'm
didn't.
taking I take from everyone I come in contact with, and I hope that I give too. So
You give a lot. You give a lot.
yeah,
You give a lot. So okay, expats, your future. Why did you decide to go into the field of service and perimenopause? What called you into that?
I love that question because there's a few layers there. So I have a couple of cousins that would tell me that you should be a coach, and I was like, "What? A life coach?" And I was like, "What even is that?" This was like about 7 years ago, and I was like, okay. I looked into a bit, and then I started seeing a coach for my first time, and I was I was unhappy. There was something that was sitting on me that wasn't feeling right. I love the industry I've worked in for the last 25 years. However, I wasn't feeling that I was living my purpose. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to do something. I don't know what. Um, and I couldn't figure it out. And I know in my core that something came to me that I'm supposed to help women, and I didn't know in what capacity at all. And over the years, I started helping. I thought it needed to be teenagers, I guess, because I resonated as a teenage mom. I was like young moms, but I was like, but I don't. Not that I don't connect with that, but I'm like, it's not that. It can't be that. And I went on to do my life coach certification, and I was doing that for a little bit, but not acting on it. And I started navigating changes in my body, in my mind. And when I looked into what's happening and doing some research, I was like, oh my word. And still didn't connect the dots. Still trying to find how it is. I knew that coaching and being of service was being of service in the capacity of coaching, but I was like, I still want to help women. I've done a little bit of philanthropy in Zimbabwe with girls with period health,
Okay.
as well as sending young girls to school, because I'm definitely focused on wanting to help women, but I didn't know the capacity. And then when I started looking into researching how I could help myself as I navigated the changes that I started feeling in my body, it just came to me and it just organically started happening. And I'm like, well, I'd love to help other people as I'm helping and learning this for myself. And I think what I'm most passionate, and I know what I'm most passionate about is having the conversation. You know, I like to conversate, but having the conversation about the change that it is bringing within women, because it's not just a physical thing. And the education that we think it's the death of ovaries means you no longer can have babies. It's a transformative time in a woman's life. And it's the first time women actually have to put themselves first. They have to put on that airplane mask on them first, because they will no longer be able to show up at work or for their families if they don't start making the shifts with energy, with love, with compassion, with grace to themselves. And it's a full spectrum from physical health to emotional health to mental health, and how we're going to show up in the next phase of our lives. Depends on what we do now. And we don't even know what it is. Our parents, we didn't have those conversations. And it's not just Zimbabwean parents, because I'm always like, oh, in Zimbabwe, our parents didn't have that. No, everyone in Canada, it's just not a conversation that's had. There's more conversations on teen sex than on menopause. Doctors that were students in residence had 6 hours in their 6 years of school of residency, had 6 hours of menopause training. And Lindsay, you have 2 daughters. Guess what? One day they're going to be in menopause. If you're a woman, or if you're born with ovaries, or even if you're a man that had a sex change and have ovaries, you're going to go in menopause. So I think the stats about 50 billion people will be in menopause at some stage in your life. It's an important conversation.
And thank you for that. It's so beautiful what you shared. Um, what have been your biggest struggles with it?
Mine's brain fog. And it's a neurological change that I would never think that could be related to ovaries, to estrogen fluctuation. So I think fascination, the curiosity for me, curiosity is a big part of who I am, and that's what drives me. The curiosity on the power of hormones and how it impacts, and it impacts men too. You're not going to go through menopause, but every man has a woman in their life, whether it's a mother, whether it's a daughter, whether it's a partner, and being able to navigate and understand what she's going through or how she's changing. Or it's not that she doesn't love you, it's not that she doesn't want to have sex with you. There's biological change in her body that she can't control because she's not aware of what's happening and what she needs to do to show up better for herself, and therefore for you and the unit and everybody else in the world. So mine was, brain fog, neurological was big, and fatigue. Yeah.
You mentioned, as you were sharing that lovely bit of information, you mentioned men. Do you get any men interested in the topic and wanting to understand more?
I have some advocates that definitely will comment on some posts. They'll ask questions. I think it's very important to just have the conversation, because if women feel uncomfortable and embarrassed to say, especially because the most interesting statistic is that women become suicidal between 45 and 55. And that's like, wow, when she's supposed to be thriving, usually by that age, people have, the kids are a little bit grown. So women are going back to work, feeling, getting up in their careers, feeling stronger. And that's when they actually get hit with these biological and emotional changes where they actually want to take their lives, and they're confused and lost, and they're hiding this because playing in a field that's a man's world, or where you're trying to, a woman has to work 10 times harder, a black woman has to work 30 times harder. So you're hiding this and you're going through that alone. So there've been men that have been curious, but I think it's first we have to educate ourselves and have that conversation and change it from being taboo, and then it'll be easier to have the conversation with men. And men are more logical beings, and when we can show the the biology that's not emotional, because everyone's always been seen as just emotional, but there's biology that's causing the emotional changes and the moodiness and all those daunting symptoms that show up, but they're stemming from losing a powerful hormone that we don't have to lose entirely. There's lots of different things we can do about it.
And you touched me with that because obviously, like you said, being a man, having girls, and I'm sure to some degree, I'll like to believe I'll play a part if I'm lucky enough to be there, but play a part in my daughter's lives one day with the education in terms of their body and their growth. But you said something about the emotional component, and I feel that is more powerful, but we're so stigmatized with it. And I'm reading a book called The Fourth State of Consciousness. It's so beautiful. And the brain is actually slower than the emotions. And for some reason, emotions, because they're not tangible and we can't logicalize them, we end up dismissing them. And it's a shame that you say that. And I'm a victim of that too, that because it's emotional, we kind of dismiss it. And yet it should be, because it's emotional, it's most important. We shouldn't need biological proof or intellectual proof, right? I hope that with what you're doing, that education comes, that soon as emotion comes in, important. Not emotion, dismiss, show me something practical. Oh, look, the body has proof that the emotions are valid. I'd like to believe that the emotions have much more intelligence, and we're like, my partner's emotional, red flag, stop, what do you need?
Something's happening. We have to look deeper.
Not being dismissive of that emotion. Oh my God, it's so abstract. I'm so uneducated about it. I just push it aside, and I'm taking responsibility for my part in my education through my life about how we're being, and we're dismissive until you see
society. I have grace. I like the accountability, but have grace. It's society, because us women do that to ourselves. We say, "Oh, I'm being too soft. I have to just keep pushing through. Let's go on this." We dismiss ourselves. We dismiss the signs, the emoting that our body and our emotions are telling us. So it's definitely a conversation that needs to be socialized and had, like how we talk about love. How what other topic is spoken about more than love? And we should be speaking about perimenopause and menopause the same way. I think it's a change in your life. It's going to happen. We speak about pregnancy, right? It's another change in a woman's body. This is a different change too, but it's a change all the same.
And do you have a community that you're building? What is your vision for perimenopause? What's your coaching company called again? Sorry, perimenopause, no?
Periphase with Syreeta.
Periphase. Periphase. I'll put your contact details up so everybody who's interested can follow and get in touch with you. But do you have a vision for periphase?
Yeah, my vision is definitely building a community, which I have. And yes, I'd appreciate you sharing that so that people can join the community. We celebrating today's Good Friday, but it's also Independence Day in Zimbabwe, and here in Canada, we doing a Independence Day ball. A little different. We got a lot of Zimbabwean community coming together. So we also supporting Zimbabwean businesses. So I will have a stand there with the link QR code to join Periphase community and just start the conversation where it becomes part of our lives and not a stigma, and be able to share more with women and men that are interested in it, and to build awareness and support. Support is a essential thing that we all need in life, in every phase of our life. But it's very important to have a community during this crazy phase. You know how they do the mourning, how they have an illustration of what grief looks like, and it's all like that's what perimenopause is. It's literally that. And people think menopause is one day when you just don't have a period. That's menopause, but that's not perimenopause. Perimenopause, Lindsay, can last for 7 to 10 years of emotional fluctuation, estrogen fluctuating in your body. And there's no even blood tests that's going to show you. So doctors are like, oh, nothing's wrong with you. Everything's good. But you'll see the changes. Women will feel the changes, but the blood tests don't validate it. Your cholesterol test may show good this time, but the moment you leave the doctor, your cholesterol's gone up. The heart is not being tested. We don't go for cardiovascular tests, and that gets impacted with lack of estrogen and estrogen fluctuation. So there's so much that when we say women dismiss ourselves, but because we don't know what's going on and the evidence is saying things are good, but you're like, no, I know I'm not myself. And that's a key thing. You're just no longer yourself, and you can't, some women can't even pinpoint, and there's like 70, up to 70 perimenopause symptoms. Some people are random, like itchy ear. Who would think that an itchy ear is changes in your estrogen levels? Or frozen shoulder, dry eyes. Another one was my eyes. I was like, why are my eyes dry? I've never used eye drops. Like, I don't understand. And then as I'm doing more learning and during my course, understanding that, wow, okay, dry eyes is a symptom of estrogen fluctuation and perimenopause. So,
I love your
yeah.
passion for it. It's so beautiful. The passion makes the service more effective. You know, when you're trying to serve other women, but your heart is so into it, you'll have a huge, I'm sure you have a huge impact just by being you, but then the passion towards what you want to bring to other women is very beautiful to see. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, I feel it. I'm glad that what's inside me is radiating
I
outside.
feel it.
And did you notice how I took that compliment? There's growth.
You're a
7
fast
months.
learner. I wouldn't expect that from college. Sorry. You're the stereotype.
You called me. We're
I
talking
forgot my
about
day.
growth,
I
Lindsay.
talk to a colored and I go back into that mindset. You see? I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah.
I thought you left that mindset in Acadia.
I'm talking to you and it all comes back. I'm joking. No, it's really great what you're doing, and your passion is beautiful. And again, not to make this personal, but I believe anyone who's in service of others, your intention is very powerful. Are you doing it just to get recognition or validation, or are you doing it from the heart because you believe in it? And when you believe in it, you touch people much faster, much more effectively. So it's great to feel you speak so passionately about that.
Yeah. As I said, thank you. It started from wanting to help myself. And now as I'm helping myself and learning, I'm like, it was a light bulb moment. This is the way I want to be of service to women, and it's to men, but it's working directly with women, but being of service to everybody.
And what would you say, just like some advice to women who might be discovering this or starting to feel that they're losing touch with they self? Any tips you can give them? Anything you can advise them? Women who are starting this phase of their life and maybe get
Yeah,
lost.
definitely. Great question. First thing would be give yourself a little bit, even a fraction of the grace that you give everybody else, and listen to your body. Listen to your body. Your body is going to start shouting if you don't listen to its whisper. It's going to start shouting, and just pay attention to your body and reach out. Join. There's so many communities on Facebook, on everywhere. I think definitely menopause is having its moment. So there's so much education out there. But the most important thing I'd say is pay attention to your body and take notes, and go out there and see how you can help yourself. Definitely exercise. Exercise is the number one thing that if there's one thing you're going to do, workout, and it needs to be strength training, weights. Yeah, that's the one thing. If there's only one thing they engage in, there's so many others. There's lots, and every woman has a different experience. The same way during pregnancy, some women can fly by. I flew by pregnancy, hid my pregnancy, didn't even need a doctor. My sisters had entirely different pregnancy experience where, yeah, so the same with perimenopause. I have friends that are older than me by 10 years and are navigating fine. And then there's others that every woman that, I mean, they're like, oh my God, yes, I'm struggling. It's the weight gain, it's the sleep. Sleep is a big one. We spoke about this the other day. But a lot of women struggle with the opposite of not being able to sleep. They can't go to sleep, and sleep drives everything in our bodies. It's the superpower of healing. But yeah, look up estrogen. I think that's such an underrated hormone, an underrated thing that I had no idea prior to looking into this when I started paying attention to my body and what's happening. So listen to your body, exercise, and give yourself grace. Put yourself first. It's time for you to put yourself first.
And just to give people a little bit of more depth and insight into you, maybe even to give yourself some, what would you say to your younger self today?
There's a lot of things, Lindsay, but the main one would be love, accept everything about who you are, and love everything about who I am. I think it's so important to because I accept everybody else for who they are and what they bring. And I think the struggle has been over the time of acceptance. Self-acceptance is a big one. It's on my vision board, self-acceptance, and it's in so many different ways. Having grace with yourself, but still pushing and finding that balance, right? It's always the moderation. Like, I know I am not the best version of myself yet, but showing up as a better version each day, and pushing myself to do better and have discipline, because discipline's powerful, very powerful thing. but also having grace and understanding and saying, this is where I am today because this is where I am today. And I know I don't want to stay here and I don't want to be there, but yeah, just self-judgment, I would say, and self-acceptance. Less self-judgment and more self-acceptance.
That was very beautiful. And I don't know if this means anything, but I feel you have those things already, which is very interesting about that question. The things we tell ourselves about when we're younger, we often carry them now, which is why we're conscious of them. So just keep that with you. That they're here now. Just to.
I will. We'll make note there. Note.
I see them in you at least, and that's just my perspective. So don't take it for granted. But I do see clearly more than ever. So there's something there for you.
I appreciate that. And it's work. It's putting in the work, and it's not something, I don't think it's something you'd have been able to see or to radiate right away before, but it's been a journey, and it's still a continuous journey. And for me, there's nothing more that excites me than self-development in our full spectrum, body, mind, and soul. And I'm like, there's not even enough hours in the day for all the work that I want to put in and continuously put in. But it's also about being grateful for where you are showing up today, because I wasn't here yesterday or last week. So, yeah.
That's good. And what would you say to your future self? What are you going to tell her 20 years from now?
You should have started exercising sooner. But I'm glad you did, because 20 years from now, I will have a very strong body, because that's what I'm striving for, so that I can show up as the strongest version of myself, both mentally, physically, emotionally, and yeah. That'll be it.
And just before we come to a close, what's your superpower?
Connection.
Can you say a lot?
What's your superpower?
Oh, I did the question.
Connecting.
I love this position of power. I get to escape all this stuff.
No, but that's my superpower and connections. I like to share. I told you I talk to think, but I also love to hear how others are feeling and what fuels them. So what's your superpower?
I have a big heart.
Love.
So
Yeah.
strong.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Any message you want to give the audience? I've loved this moment with you. Is there something you want to say from your heart to who's ever listening, whoever is going to see you and feel you?
Yeah, the one message.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
There's tons of messages, because I think the audience can tell this one loves to chat. But it would definitely be vulnerable. I think one of the biggest lessons and gifts that I'm working on is vulnerability, and that is strength. And be vulnerable in our relationships. I think that's what's a big struggle I'm missing from intimate relationships, because vulnerability drives that intimacy at work. Be vulnerable, show up and let people see you for who you are, because I think that's beautiful, and that's the superpower. And be vulnerable with yourself and be real, because vulnerability is being real. So be real with yourself. And if you feel and know that you're supposed to do more and you're not feeling fulfilled, follow your heart and find what makes you. And everyone has different journeys, and some people, just being a parent is enough of a purpose. Just being a teacher, I think school teachers hold such immense purpose. So, but follow your heart. We have one life on earth, one year on earth, I think, in this version of who you are, and live it to your fullest. So show up how you feel you need to and live your life. Yeah. And that will be my close.
Happy Independence Day, Zimbabwean to Zimbabwean.
Yeah, if we feel it's really independent, but yeah.
Is it today? Is Independence Day today?
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot.
You've really forgot everything about
I
Zimbabwe.
miss when I talk to you and I hear your accent, I feel your energy, and we talk like home comes up, and I miss home. I don't think I could ever go back, not now at least, but I miss home. The lifestyle we grew up in, for all its things that could be better, it was amazing. So say hi to all the
Yes.
Zimbabweans at the thing. I'm sorry I can't make it.
The next one. We expect you to show up at the next one.
Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your heart, your commitment, your passion. The authenticity in you is immeasurable. And I would without a doubt believe anyone who comes into your sphere, you'll bring them something life transforming. So you have a great calling and mission, and it's beautiful to witness. And thank you for allowing me this moment with you to share to the world what an amazing soul you are and what you're bringing to the world.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good one. And a wish.
Thank you.